Plaintiff Brooke Johnson started dating the defendant after they met online, and they soon moved in together. Brooke claims one night the defendant flipped out on her after he caught her eating his candy, and he kicked her and her children out of his home. She's suing him today for her personal property. Defendant Tavon Campbell says he asked Brooke to move in with him after her ex assaulted her and pulled a gun on her in front of her children. Tavon claims after they got a place, Brooke was constantly talking to her male best friend, who's with Brooke in court today, and he denies owing her for anything.
Start with you.
All right, well, I met Tavon on the dating website. I was going through a really bad breakup with my ex who ended up pulling a gun on me. Tavon came the next days when we met in person. He showed me around, took me out to dinner. So after the incident, we ended up deciding to make a life for each other. We ended up getting a 2-bedroom house. And
how long after meeting?
It was about 2 weeks after meeting in person.
Why so fast?
It was a very bad incident with my ex. He ended up pulling a gun on me. I didn't know anybody in Alabama.
Where did you live before meeting him?
With my ex at the time.
All right, so where did you go between the ex and him?
Where'd I go? Me and him stayed in a hotel before we got that house together.
Before you got straight.
We were together after the whole incident. We were together.
Got it.
And everything was good until about June 22nd when I'm laying in bed, braiding my hair up, I'm doing individuals, and he walks in from work and I'm eating sugar babies, the candy.
He what?
I'm eating sugar babies, the candy. And he flips. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe you should just start buying your own food since food is becoming an issue.
He wanted some, or why did he flip?
That's what I'm figuring out.
All right, what did he do? How did he flip?
Okay, he was just like, really, my sugar babies? And I was like, well, I didn't know they were yours.
Well, that's why he flipped. You do know why he flipped, because you were eating his candy.
I bought them.
Well, I'm saying you do know why. Then what did he do?
And then after, I told him that maybe he should start buying his food separate because food was becoming an issue. He walked out of the house and texted me, get your things and get out. That was fine. His best friend ended up coming over and speaking to me, telling me that Tavon was insecure because of past relationships.
All right, let me allow him to speak some, and then I'll get back to you. Go ahead, sir.
Well, Your Honor, she is right. We did meet on a dating website, and when I met her, she seemed like a cool person, so I said we should meet up. Later on that day, I called her up and see what she was doing. She told me that her baby father had just beat her up. And I was like, why? Because I told him about you, and she told me that he had pulled a gun out on her and drug her in front of her kids, and her kid was crying. And I was like, you know what, I'm finna come up there now and come get you. She's like, okay, cool. When I got there, she was limping to my car from where she had been drugged, and her feet and things were bleeding. I said, you know what, I'm not gonna settle for that, so you can just come stay with me, or we can just get a hotel until I move into my house. And she was like, okay, cool. So when we moved in the house, from the moment we got into the house, we were arguing about petty things. Like, she was ready to go home already. I was like, why would you move into the house with me if you was ready to go home or you was homesick? And
ready to go home, not back to the guy.
No, go home, like to South Carolina. And I was like, if you're so ready to go home, just go home. And when she told me that, every time I came to the house or I went out to go do something, she was always on the phone with her best friend, which is here now. And I was like, why you always on the phone with your best friend? He's like, because we talk about everything. I was like, okay, cool. But you don't
gentleman's best friend, is that it? Okay.
Yes. And
were you concerned that it was a guy or not?
Yeah, I was. I was like, is he the guy or a girl?
Yeah, what's up with you talking to this guy, this so-called best friend?
Yeah, every time I came to the house, she was always talking to him. I was
hours.
like, okay, yes, it's something about that kind of fishy. And later on that day, we had went shopping for a couple of groceries and things like that, and we bought I picked up some sugar babies for me. When I came to the house to check on her and the kids, they was in there eating sugar babies, so I made a joke out of it.
Go ahead.
So when I came home, I made a joke about it. I really wasn't serious about it. I was like, dang, you and the kids just gonna eat the candy? She was like, yeah, I paid for it. I was like, okay, we're not gonna argue about some candy, so, I'm just gonna go back to work. She's like, well, you go back to work, next time don't worry about it. I was like, worry about what? Me paying for anything, you buy your own food. I was like, okay, cool. And
It didn't end there. I'll let her tell me what happened next.
Okay.
Go ahead.
That was new to me too. So,
No, that's
hey.
what you said happened.
All
You said you
right.
told him we're going to buy our own groceries
Right.
from now on. That's what he said. Everything he said is just like you told me, so ain't nothing new. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure.
What
I know.
did
okay,
happen?
I did tell him that, but he did not make it seem as a joking matter. There was issues about food before, just like,
I've heard that, ma'am.
you know.
What happened after that?
Well,
When
what
he
happened
left
after
and
that?
was angry about the
he left.
food.
His best friend had came over. Like I said, we talked, and you know, he was like, "We're all going to sit down. We're going to talk." I'm like, "That's fine." So Tivon texts me, which I do have the text, and he was like, "I don't know what he's saying, but you have to get your stuff and leave." And I'm like, "Fine." You know,
That's a lie, Your Honor.
understood.
That's it.
I actually have the text messages right here.
All right, and then what happened?
So he left that night, and I guess he stayed with his mother. I had my things, it was already packed up. I was waiting for somebody to come the next day to buy a refrigerator that my father had gave to us because I didn't have the gas money to leave. I had just spent all my money and everything like that. So I get the money the next day, and Tivon's harassing me. He's calling my mother, he's calling my father, he's telling my
Saying
mother. He called my mother and told about the situation, of course. We're no longer working out. And so he told my mother he's gonna call Child Protective Services on me
That's a lie.
because there was no running water in the house that his grandmother leased out to the both of us. Now we had bottled water, so it's not like there was no water in the house. There was. So I'm like, you know, why are you trying to come at my kids like this? And I'm already trying to leave. So after all of that harassment, I called the police because I just couldn't get out of there peacefully. I have a 2011 Toyota Corolla. He's telling me all my things have to be out. I have property, which I have pictures of and a list of. It's a queen size bed. It's also a couch set. It's a sectional. And would you like the pictures as well,
Yes.
Your Honor?
Go ahead.
And, you know, he's telling me all my things have to be out. I tell him, you know, I don't have any means of taking it at the moment. I just sold the refrigerator just to get gas money to leave here. He tells me it has to be out. So I call the police. They tell him, let me leave, get my stuff peacefully, and he leaves me alone. Don't touch my things. That's when they told me they couldn't do a criminal report because it was a civil matter. So I didn't have a police report for that. I ended up leaving, and 2 days later, Tivon, the so-called chief of police of Pritchard, Alabama, calls me and tells me that if I didn't take my things the day that I left, Tivon had the right to throw it out. I left it at that, and that's when he texted me. I hung up because I knew that wasn't legit. No chief of police calling anybody doing that. So minutes later, Tivon texts me, which is on the second page as well, and it's highlighted. He says, just to let you know, hey,
All
just
your
let
stuff
you know,
is
you're being
outside.
thrown out. And I was like, goodbye, see you in court. July 2nd, I tried texting him to handle it civilly before taking it to court. Never wanted it to come this far.
Okay, sir?
Didn't respond.
The captain never said that she had to.
Nobody think about that fake captain. Tell me what happened.
He told her that.
No, I said, tell me what happened. Did you throw her and her child or children out without notice?
I never threw her out.
All right, you didn't ask her to leave?
I did, but she left.
Well, then that's throwing her out.
Yes, but she left on her own.
After you told her to leave.
Yes.
So she didn't leave on her own. Get your stuff and leave because you ate my candy. What kind of man are you? Cancel the cable bill, please. Leave. I want you gone. I'm tired of you. No, your stuff is out today. When she says, we're going to be out of here. Just please don't touch my things. Let me come back and get me. No, your stuff is out today. I bet if you had a man roommate, you wouldn't talk to him like that, Doc. That's right. You can pick it up outside when you come back. Oh, these big tough guys, he's standing over there like that now, like he's a tough guy. And the little small young lady, he gonna throw her and her kids out and talk to him like that. Judgment for the plaintiff. Have a good day.
Hope y'all have fun.
Hope you like them sugar babies.
I will. Okay. Nice to meet you, friend.
You too.
All right.
Say now. We're getting married soon.
Woo! Congratulations.
Yes. Go get it all. Tivon was a great guy when I met him. Things went wrong, relationships don't happen. I just never felt like it had to go that far.
I'm just glad everything is settled now.
I'm glad everything is settled, but I felt like from the beginning she really didn't mean what the relationship, or she really wasn't serious. I just think she just wanted to use me.